Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show. A happy new year to every one of you out there. Let's hope it's a successful one for you individually and of course your favourite team. We are talking football, and the main headlines on tonight's programme, of course, the transfer window is open and already the managers are making their moves to strengthen their sides. We'll discuss some of the movers and shakers over the course of the programme. In other news, Zinedine Zidane is the new manager of Real Madrid and he's promising beautiful football. Pep Guardiola says he will leave Bayern Munich and manage an English Premier League team in the summer. That's just a few of the topics I'll be discussing. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin. Our boot-room guest for the first programme of the new year is Gordon Smith, and delighted to see him in 2016. Well, the window is open, Ruffy, and quite a few clubs making their move already. Hamilton have made their move and they've signed Christopher Mandiangu. They brought him in already. I could go through 1,000,001 of the other players that have been linked with clubs. You just have to wait and see if Celtic, Rangers, Hibs and Hearts make moves that you think could tip it in their favour in the race for the titles.
Yeah, I think they all will. I think as a supporter you like to see new players coming into the club just to freshen things up, but it's obviously very, very notable that it's not the quality of players that we used to get maybe 5-6 years ago. There used to be big name signings coming up to Scotland. No longer, it's all players on loan. Obviously the boy from Hamilton, players like that we don't know anything about, and that's just the way it is at Scottish football. Yeah,
and Gordon, I could mention Aberdeen. What will they do to make a real push to try and really test Celtic for the Premiership title? I could mention Falkirk as well, and also you look at clubs like Dundee United who may well have to strengthen to avoid the relegation.
Yes, that's the whole point about it, is that at this stage teams get players in for different reasons, Peter, and I think from Dundee United's point of view is to try and strengthen them, because they are struggling at the moment. They are in a bad way. Other clubs, it's maybe just to try and cement the fact that that things are going well. Aberdeen, for example, would be a difficult one to decide where they would get players in, because they've got quite a strong squad and they've got real competition for places as at the moment. So do they increase that competition? Do they need to bring more players into the wage bill or not? Celtic, on the other hand, are sitting top of the league, but they need to strengthen in terms of the fact they're looking further ahead. Celtic are looking to try and get players in to make them a better team, in order that the manager will be able to convince the supporters that they actually can compete in Europe in the forthcoming season if he's still in charge.
Yeah, I mean, already Celtic are being linked with a defender, Alexander Pantic. You can understand why Ronnie Deila is out and about across Europe looking at defenders, because clearly they still have those problems at the back, Ruffy.
Yeah, they have, and obviously with Ambrose in there, he's not the flavour of the month, and unfortunately for him, any time he's come in there's been an odd mistake here and there, and there are going to be crucial games coming up in the run, and if Celtic are going for the treble, maybe they feel as if they really need another centre half in there just to make them a wee bit more solid, because teams are getting chances against them now, and that'll be the worrying thing for Celtic.
Yeah, how many players do you think they need?
I don't think they need that much. I think a centre half possibly, yep. I think midfield have got ample in there. Strikers, everybody likes a striker. It'd be good for another striker to come in. Obviously they're only using 2 just now. Be interesting to see who they would bring in. They've obviously got the boy who we haven't even seen yet, Carlton Cole, who's on the bench, but it'd be interesting to see if he would make any impact.
And of course the story of Ed McGeady possibly on a loan just won't go away, Gordon.
Yeah, it keeps coming. I mean, a loan deal would probably be the way they would get him. They have got a few other wide players, though. They've got sort of creative players. I mean, they brought in 2 from Dundee United last January, get Armstrong and Mackay Stevens. So I think that you look at it and you go, well, what positions do they need to strengthen in? I think, if anything, a centre half and possibly a striker would be the second one, in terms of get competition for places, because they get Cole and Stevesy haven't really proved and convinced anybody yet that they deserve to be regulars, whereas Griffiths is the main player, but he's had injuries as well. So I'm not quite sure whether Aidan McGeady would be the right player for them at this stage, but he is a top class player without doubt, and also he maybe would want to be playing because of he want to be representing Ireland in the European Championships come the summer, so he'll maybe want regular football in order to do that.
At the bottom end, we were on Saturday for the Saturday football show. Dundee United lost in the Dundee derby. We were talking about the potential for them to sign players. You know, I was reading Andy McLaren's comments today saying that, you know, they're going to have to, you know, spend a fair bit to try and buy themselves out of trouble here. We put the post out earlier today, can Dundee United avoid relegation, on Twitter, and I think the reaction you can see here, Roughie, tells its own story. 87% believe that Dundee United are going down.
Yeah, it's an incredible wee run they're on now, scoring goals first but not being able to see out the games to win them, most importantly. But I think their only chance now is second bottom. I think I can't see them getting any higher than that, so it's going to be a long run in. They'll need to go in some kind of run. Again, you're relying on Billy Mackay to score goals, so I think Mix has identified a few players already. I think the Dundee United supporters will be really interested in seeing who else he's going to bring in.
Yeah, I mean, this morning they were talking about, will John Souttar stay or go? I mean, I don't think even that bothers the Dundee United fans either. I just think they're looking at who's coming in to save their necks from the chop here.
Absolutely, they won't mind them getting sold at the moment, because you look at the situation and the team, every team he's putting out just now are struggling. As Roughie said, they're scoring the first goal. I think it's about 6 times this season already. They've been leading in the game and have lost every one they've scored first, so they can't even hold on to a lead. They can't come back from being behind. They're in a bad way. They're 11 points behind Kilmarnock at the moment, and I think that that's going to be tougher for them as time goes forward, because they really need teams at the bottom like Kilmarnock and Hamilton to have a really bad run while they're having a great run. Now, do you see yourself, when you're looking at the games with half the games to go, do you see potential for Dundee United to go on a great run? Not at the moment. So they would really need to make some key signings. But it's what money's available for them, who they're going to bring in, who's going to be releasing these players in order that they can strengthen. That's the big questions.
And just touching on your point from days gone by, Roughie, when we were able to celebrate so many top drawer players coming to play in our league, it's changed days now. There's even talk that Rangers are looking at 2 Accrington Stanley players, one of them obviously Dean Windas's son, Josh, but they could be coming in the summer. You just wonder what type of business he's going to do now. He's already got the Polish goalkeeper in, and of course a player that he already knew for the wing. I just wonder if Rangers are going to strengthen even further, because Hibs are clearly looking to shore things up at the back with David Gray an injury worry. They're looking at Nicholas Gunnarsson to come in the back line.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see what the Rangers supporters think of the signings that are coming in. I mean, but not saying because they're coming from Accrington Stanley they're not good players, but I would have thought when Mr King came in there, I would have thought if you were talking about new players coming to Rangers, I think the Rangers supporters would be expecting a wee bit more than that. If they're talking about challenging Celtic next year, if they're talking about getting into Europe, you wouldn't have thought they'd be doing that with players for Accrington Stanley.
It's a concept of it, though, Roughie, because a lot of times people don't appreciate that there are players to be found in the lower leagues in England who are actually of a good standard. Vardy is a great case, who was playing in the lower leagues, and even Ian Wright at one stage was non-league till he was about 22, 23, so they are there. But you're absolutely right, it's a concept that the supporters will be looking at thinking, we're going up into the Premiership and yet we're buying players from lower level English football, not like the Rangers of the past where they were out spending a lot. But they have to be sensible now, and over a long term they haven't been sensible enough with the purchases they've made.
Yeah, but to counter that, I mean, I don't think it's just about Rangers dropping their levels to look at certain players to try and get them out of the Championship, Roughie. I think the whole of Scottish football has dropped not just one level, a number of levels in the standard of player that they're trying to recruit. I mean, even at the top end, when you're looking at Celtic, who have disposable income and much more than any other club in the Premiership, they're starting to look, mid-table clubs, lower league clubs, not even in the top flight because they can't afford to pay the wages. I mean, Aidan McGeady would have to take a huge wage cut even to come on loan.
Yeah, but I think the pressure is now on clubs, as Gordon says, to look after their money more fruitfully, particularly Celtic. I mean, Celtic can't afford to have any more £2 million flops. They've had 3 or 4, and it just hasn't happened for them. So obviously every club's got to look at the budget and see what they can bring in.
Yep, just one little sad note. I think Dundee's James McPake, he's going to miss the rest of the season. Just looking at it made you wince at the weekend in the Dundee derby. I hope James has, a speedy and healthy recovery after that collapse of his kneecap.
Absolutely, Peter. We wish him all the best because he's a key player for them. And Dundee have had mixed fortunes of late. Their form's not been great, and they're going to certainly miss a player like that. That's maybe somebody they're going to have to maybe look to replace as well if he's going to be out for the rest of the season.
You never know. Darren O'Dea, he was on the programme, Roughie. That might just open the door for him.
Short term, yeah. Darren was saying, I think it was February. I think he was he was quite happy to go to a club just to keep himself ticking him over. And who knows? Yep. It might be the case.
Okay, you just get that little sprinkling of luck coming on the programme. You never know what can happen for them. Join us after the break. We are going to talk Zinedine Zidane. If he can manage Real Madrid, surely Ryan Giggs can manage Manchester United. Just a few of the topics we'll discuss. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, the first one of the new year on STV. We're delighted to have your company. Do stay with us for 2016. Lots more football chat, and of course we'll have more than a few boot room guests for you. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin. Gordon Smith is with us here in the studio. I must just say congratulations and good luck to Gemma Fay, who's joined Glasgow City from Celtic. We had her on the show, Ruffy. She's well beyond your caps, 188 I think at the last count, and still only 34, young for a goalkeeper.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. I saw in the Scotland game at Tynecastle, I think it was. She's a lot of experience, controls the whole situation. You're right, that amount of caps, it doesn't matter where you're playing, to get that amount is absolutely amazing.
Yep, absolutely. I noticed a story this morning, it had been doing the rounds over the last couple of months, Gordon, about Scott Arfield potentially moving to represent Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's any great shakes for us. No disrespect to Scott, because we have an abundance of players that we could call on in the midfield area. So he just wants to play international football.
Absolutely. I think probably he's assessed that. And if you're playing, and you've got an opportunity to play for two countries, and the one you may be most associated with doesn't want you, and you don't think you've got any chance of getting there, then why not play for the other one? So Canada, it'll be still a big nation. They'll have a lot of games to play, and it means he is an international player. So I don't see anything wrong with that, and I don't think people will be too upset about it if he decides to choose it. It's different when you're in a country. I mean, we had the situation with Aidan McGeady chose Republic of Ireland over Scotland, and that annoyed a lot of people that he didn't want to play for Scotland because he was brought up here, but he went down the road of his parents, his grandparents and all that sort of thing. So Scott Arfield's the same, but as I say, it won't bother too many people because he wouldn't probably get in our international team anyway. Yeah,
I just want to mention we were talking about all the clubs potentially with players to recruit to try and challenge for titles, players to recruit to try and avoid going out of divisions. St Mirren got a good win at the weekend, Ruffy. I must just mention he's been a guest on our programme on more than a few occasions. Alec Ray's in there, David Farrell's his assistant, and again, what a pleasure for the management team to get a big win in a Renfrewshire derby. That will settle them down.
Yeah, it certainly will, but anybody that's seen Alec on the show and anybody that knows Alec knows that they'll get 100%. He's a winner, and he'll try and install that into the team. They went through a horrendous 2 years, so he's got a lot of convincing to do to the players, but I'm sure the 2 wins that he's had will be a bonus for him, because he'll want to stamp his own authority on that team as well, and it'll be interesting there if he's got any leeway to bring players in, what kind of players he'll bring in, because they'll still fancy their chances if they can go on a wee run.
Yeah, I noticed they mentioned Mark Fotheringham is potentially one of those players. Is it experienced players that he needs to draft in there, Gordon?
I think so. I was quite surprised by the result, because I'd seen them against Livingston and they were poor. And Alec, admitted it himself, they were very poor on the day. A home game and got beat 4-1 from a team who were sitting below them in the league at that point. And it was a 6 point in a lot of ways, because at the moment, it put St Mirren in a strong position safety-wise, because they're 3 points ahead of Livingston at the moment. They're sitting 4th bottom, St Mirren goal difference with Dumbarton, same points. Now, if they'd beaten Livingston in that home game and won their 3 games, then they would be sitting at the moment 9 points clear above Livingston. At the moment, it's just 3. So that was a significant defeat they had that day. But to be fair, they bounced back really well. And if you get some experienced players in and he can turn it around and they begin to get if they're away from they've had in the last couple of games, they can get that at home as well, then I'm pretty sure Alec can get someone out of trouble.
Yeah, it'll be a welcome respite for more than a few clubs at the weekend, Roughie. Scottish Cup action. Are we about to witness maybe some clubs looking at their predicament in the league and thinking, like many clubs in England are doing at the moment, just not putting too much emphasis on winning silverware?
No, I don't think we'll come into that category. I think the Scottish Cup, and I think a lot of the teams will look at that cup and identify that there are a lot of clubs getting to finals now, like St Johnstone, Inverness, and there's nothing better than a cup run. There's nothing. I mean, especially if whether you're challenging or not challenging, it just keeps everything a buzz in the dressing room. And if you're doing well in the cup, it keeps the supporters up for it as well. And I'm always for a good cup run. It just gives a wee bit of buzz in the dressing room.
Yeah, I know we like to talk about football right across the globe, European football especially. Now, in the last couple of weeks, I've actually listened to more than a few pundits suggesting Ryan Giggs as potentially the Manchester United manager. I'm absolutely gobsmacked, because I think, if anything, Ryan Giggs, like so many other former United players, should go out and learn his trade. Yeah. But Zinedine Zidane comes in, he's the Real Madrid manager, Rafa Benitez is sacked, and a couple of years of experience with the B side and as a number 2, and he's got the top job. Yeah,
I mean, the thing about it is he is one of the great names. If you put together a team of great players, Zidane is challenging for a place in it. He's done a fantastic job for Real Madrid, and he's been in there coaching, so they know him. They know what his mindset is. They know the abilities he's got. So I think that's why he's got the job. They just want to say to the fans, here's somebody who you love anyway, and now he's going to take the team. I always think you get a lot more time with the supporters if you've been a great player for the club. Ali McCoist, for example, was a great example of that. He got a lot of time with the support, even when things weren't going that well, because he was such a legend, a hero. And Ryan Giggs would be the same in Manchester United, without doubt. And Zinedine Zidane fits in that category.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about it is, he has been part of the club, like Giggs, Roughie. But if you were Rafa Benitez, I think you would have just possibly rented a house in Madrid rather than decide to move back and buy one.
Yeah, but Gordon's touched on it briefly there. If you want to go to a club and get the fans on board, that's the club. You better get them on board quick, because they turn very, very quickly if they don't like what they're seeing. But I could just imagine his first training session when he's got them all lined up and he's saying, right, I want you to ping the ball in. When you pull it down your chest, half volley into the top corner, no pressure at all, because that's what I used to do. So he's got quality there, so I'm sure a few of them could do that.
He'll get a lot of respect. I mean, that's the thing about a great player. Immediately you get that tremendous respect from the other players, because you can't ever turn around and say, well, what does he know about that? What did he ever do? That can never happen. But with Zidane, then the other aspect then is, how is he in terms of managing people? Can he handle it? And you would imagine that the club figure that he can do that, because he's been doing it at a level below that already. He's now going to be taking on major egos. That's the other side of it. He's got Ronaldo.
I like Roughie's suggestion, though, that somebody drags it out of the air, flicks it, and then volleys it into the top corner. I'm looking at him thinking, wow, only Sergio Ramos was maybe struggling. The rest of the team can do it.
The other thing as well, and if you don't get on the right side of him, you know what's going to happen. He's going to bang you.
Only you could remember the downside of someone's career, Roughie. And on the upside, Pep Guardiola says he's going to manage in the Premier League. I think the red hot favourites are Manchester City.
Yeah, I think there will be. I think that's, to be honest with you, I think Real Madrid certainly see that. What happened with Barcelona, Guardiola came through as a player, then became a coach at the club and the under teams, the B team, and then became the full coach, and look what he's done since. So he's in Germany. I understand Bayern Munich have offered him a big deal, a great deal, because how successful he's been, but he's knocked it back, and he's already saying he's coming to England now. That's a major thing, and it can only be, I think, for possibly 2-3 clubs at most that can afford them. That would be Manchester City, Manchester United and Chelsea. They're the only ones that can afford them.
With all due respect, Roughie, I think if you want to be able to sign the players that can get Champions League glory and have a bottomless pit, it's Man City.
Yeah, but Man United have proved that as well with Van Gaal there, a bottomless pit as well. They gave him 200 and whatever it is. Chelsea's an interesting one, you know, but I think when you look at the two Manchester clubs, I didn't know the Manchester City had 4 franchises in other clubs. It's an amazing club, and that might just be the one.
Here's something to finish, which I think certainly has left me gobsmacked. I know there was a lot of speculation over whether a sponsor like Nike had influenced Ronaldo when he was sick in the 1998 World Cup, whether he had to actually get out there and play. No, I don't think the truth will ever come out, maybe 30, 40 years from now, but I noticed Adidas had been critical of the way Manchester United have been playing. Now that, you know, crosses the line. You know, I know sponsors can obviously influence, you know, clubs, people to act in a responsible way, but to criticise the way they play, Gordon?
Yeah, I was amazed at that, Peter. When you told me that earlier on, I hadn't seen that anywhere, and I was totally stunned by it, because you think to yourself, if you're the sponsor, you're the kit sponsor, you just make sure that your kit's selling well, it looks nice on the players, you don't take any interest whatsoever in terms of how they're playing. But to actually see that and be critical, I've never heard that before. Have you, Roughie? You know?
No, I haven't.
I mean, did anybody from Mary Hill Carpets criticise you guys?
No, I remember the boy the boy for Hummel demanded that a couple of players shouldn't play.
I do not believe that. Not in 1978 anyway, although I wish they'd actually pushed the boat out. Anyway, strange days indeed, sponsors having an opinion on how the team should play. You can interact with us at Peter and Roughie, and we'll read out some of your tweets later on in the week. Welcome back. I hope you're going to have a great new year, and hopefully you'll stick with us here on The Football Show. From Gordon Smith, Alan Ruff and myself, good night.